Hi guys, today I'm going to be trying on some by Terry products. One is a newly released eyeshadow palette and another is a new to me product. It's been around a while, but they did release 4 new shades. So I'm going to start off with that product first, and it's the by Terry, it's the Brightening Serum. And out of the 4 new shades that were released, I picked up Nude Glow. It's number 2.5. I was always a bit wary to try this out because I thought it would be quite oily, and since I have oily skin, that's the last thing that I need. It's supposed to give a really beautiful brightening effect and also a glow, and I was concerned that the glow would then become greasy looking, but I've tried this out quite a few times now and I think it is absolutely gorgeous. And where I love using it is underneath a foundation, and a foundation that's more of a soft matte to a matte. So if you want the effects of your matte foundation and you've got oily skin, but you'd also like a little bit of glow to come through as well, then this really is just the perfect product. And it just doesn't go oily at all. And I'll just take it out of its packaging so I can show you what it's like. So this has 30 mils of product, and this is made in France. They have quite a few different shades. Some are for color correcting, and others like this one is just to give a really gorgeous glow and ethereal look to the skin, and I think it's really lovely. And it has a shelf life, I think it says on there, it's quite small. I think it says from 15 months from date of opening. Now this is quite heavily fragranced, this product. A lot of by Terry products are. It's quite a heavy rose scent, which I really love, but if you don't like fragrance in your products, in your makeup, then you won't like this. But if you don't mind that, then this is a really lovely fragrance. And it comes in a glass bottle and has a pump dispenser. Now I do have foundation primer on already. It's the new Hourglass one. So I just take 1 pump of this, and over the top of the primer that I have, like I was saying, I thought it would be quite oily, but it's not. It doesn't dry down to a matte, but it just doesn't feel really any different from when I applied that really beautiful Hourglass primer. It just adds, and you can see it just adds a really beautiful glow to the skin, and that helps a foundation that's more, like I was saying, of a soft matte or a matte, just to have a little bit of a glow to it. So it makes my skin feel really smooth, but there's no oiliness and there's no greasiness either. So the foundation that I'm going to use today, I don't have a by Terry foundation. I'm going to use the fairly newly released, it's the Hourglass foundation. It's the Ambient Soft Glow foundation, and this is in shade 6.5. So I'm just going to put 1 pump of that on the back of my hand, and I'm going to apply it today with a beauty blender. Now this is what I would say a soft matte foundation. It doesn't have a really glowy finish. And from the few videos that I've seen review this, I also did a review on this foundation, but people that had dry skin, I think they found this too drying. So I think this foundation is perfect for combination and oily skin. It's now at the very end of spring here in New Zealand, starting in summer. The days are getting warmer and getting a bit more humidity. I have been wearing this foundation a bit, and it lasts really well with my oily skin. And 1 pump is enough to get the coverage. Initially when I did a review on this foundation, I had it in shade 5, and I love the foundation, but that shade was just too light for me. I just did a foundation declutter recently, and that shade that I got in 5, I think I'll be passing that on to my sister-in-law. I've still got it sitting there in my cupboard, so I think I'll pass it on to her and see what she thinks of it. If she thinks it's a little bit too drying, I only used it a couple of times, so it's one that I could sell locally here. Off camera, I've put some concealer on. I've also put eyeshadow primer on and done my eyebrows as well. I haven't put any powder underneath my eyes yet or put any powder on my face yet either. For the powder under my eyes today, I'm going to use a by Terry one. I love this for under my eyes. It's no good for the rest of my face with my oily skin because it has got humectants in it and it is called the Hyaluronic pressed powder. So it is supposed to give moisture, but for underneath my eyes it's perfect. And the other one that I love is the Westman Atelier. It's the Vital Pressed skincare powder. Again, with that one, it's really good for under my eyes, but not so great for the rest of my face. So I have this 4-pan palette, and I tend to use this shade here. This one here would be good if you wanted some brightening underneath your eye, but I tend to use this one. And just like with the Westman Atelier one, I just use my finger to apply the powder, and I start in the corner, and it's only really a small amount. And what it does and why I love it is it sets the concealer, but it isn't drying in any way, which is just perfect for oily skins. I just use the smallest amount, and in case I have picked up too much, that's why I always start in the inner corner, because you're going to deposit more there, and then just with the tiny amount that's left on your finger, just slowly press it underneath. And this is a really lovely powder. Now, everything that I am putting on my face today, I will have listed and linked in the description box below. So with the Hourglass foundation over the top of the serum, let me just grab the serum. It gives, it's not quite, not that it was ever a flat matte, the Hourglass foundation, but there is a glow underneath. And yet with the serum underneath, it doesn't make the foundation feel any different. And I will lightly powder like I always do because I have oily skin. So it will go a little bit more matte, but then within about half an hour or an hour after powdering it, this really beautiful glow will come through. It's really lovely. I think the combination of the serum and a foundation that isn't dewy or glowy, so like I was saying, a soft matte or a matte foundation, I think it is a really lovely combination. And I really thought that this would just be too oily for my skin, but it is really, really beautiful. So I am interested in picking up some other shades in this serum, because I also think it would be perfect if you get one that's just a little bit color correcting, or there are some darker shades, just to wear it on its own without any foundation at all. If you just wanted a beautiful glow to your skin, but not to wear any foundation, I think this would be really lovely. So I'm going to look at the other shades that they've got and maybe pick up 1 or 2 more of them. So for the powder on my face today, I'm going to use the Prairie. It's the Skin Caviar powder, and this brush is the BK Beauty one. It is number 105. It's just a really big, dense brush. And I'm not really going to buff the powder in. I'm just going to just lightly set it. I love this powder. It is quite a pricey one, but you get a huge amount of product with it. And it also comes with a smaller travel size powder as well. And I use this quite regularly. And I think it gives a beautiful finish to any foundation that you wear. It has that distinct La Prairie fragrance, which I really love. But again, if you don't like fragrance in your makeup, then this isn't a powder that you would like. And for the bronzer today, I'm going to use by Terry. It's the Brightening CC palette. This is in the one in Beach Bomb. And this has a bronzing shade down here as well as the blushes, and one you can use this shade up here more for highlighting. Today I'm going to use it for bronzing, this shade down here. So I'm just using the Sonia G, this is the Niji Pro brush. So each of these powders in this palette, they do have a sheen to them, but I don't think that it is too much. It blends beautifully into the skin, and I just think the shade here just gives a really beautiful subtle warmth. So now we'll take a look at this newly released by Terry eyeshadow palette. They've called it the Terryfic Glow Eye Palette. This is limited edition, and this flew under the radar a little bit, but I really love the by Terry shadows. I think they are really beautiful. They always blend really beautifully, so I decided to pick this one up. The packaging is really beautiful. I have tried this out about 2 or 3 times, and I think the color story is really, really lovely. This has 10 eyeshadows, and it is made in Italy. So here is the outside packaging. I think it looks really beautiful, and it is slightly textured on the front. And they have called this palette number 1 Nude Celebration. And inside they do have a brush that comes with each of these palettes. It's a fairly decent sized brush, but I'll be using my own today. It has just a clip closure. It feels really sturdy in the hand. It's not overly weighty, but it's not light either. It just feels really, really lovely. And inside they do have the generous size mirror. And here is the color story. It's not in pristine condition because, like I said, I have tried this out 2 or 3 times. And I think the color story is really, really lovely. So I will swatch this on my arm so you can take a look. In this palette they do have some mattes and also metallics as well. So these swatch beautifully on my arm. I thought they would because when I've tried them out, they also blend really beautifully on the eye as well. So in here you've got, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, there are 5 mattes and there are 5 metallics. So I'm going to do 3 eye looks. I'll do 1 on each eye to begin with, and I won't put on any mascara until I've finished both eyes.
Flows one direction, and fishes they follow the flow. But what if one tried to mention that there was much more to explore? Here I am, I have a plan, I'm living free, don't know where I'll land. Here I am, I have a plan, I'm living free, don't know where I'll land. A dragonfly heard the message. Darkness was home for the star. It spread its wings to the surface. The bright colors set them apart. Here I am, I have a plan, I'm living free, don't know where I'll land. Here I am, I have a plan, I'm living free, don't know where I'll land. Here I am, I have a plan, I'm living free, don't know where I'll land. Here I am, I have a plan, I'm living free, don't know where I'll land. Here I
So I've now just put on some mascara, and I didn't use any eyeliner, just the powder that you saw me use just to give some definition to the upper lash line on both eyes. So this is look number 1, and this is look number 2, These shadows are really soft and really smooth. They blend really, really beautifully. This darker shade here that I used, I'll just grab the palette. So it was this one that I was using. In the next eye look, I will use a bit of this one as well. But this one's quite interesting. So it looks sort of in the pan sort of like a brown, but it's actually more of an eggplant colour with quite a bit of brown in it. It's actually a really beautiful shade, and the metallics just apply really beautifully, and they're just not too much. I think they are a really lovely formula. I wore this eyeshadow yesterday. I think I tried out this look and they lasted really well throughout the day. I think these are really lovely. Out of the two eye looks, I prefer this one, but that's because anytime anything goes red on me, I tend to shy away from it. I wouldn't use this on my lower lash line, and that's only because it tends to make my eyes look like they are a little bit sore. And this is quite a bold colour. So to soften it down, I went over the top with this gold, and I think it's really lovely. This shade in here too, so in the pan this looks pink, but it has a bit of a shift to it, and on the eye it actually looks more gold, and you can faintly see the pink that's in there. This is a really, really beautiful shade, and I just think that these eyeshadows just perform really, really beautifully. So now I'm going to wash this off, and then I'll be back and we'll do the third and final look.
We got a brand new day. Good love is on the way, and if you take my hand, I'll walk with you to Georgia. Have you ever been in love? Dove in from high above, and if the answer's no, well then I'd like to get to know you. And though I know these lights are blinding, I will guide us home. 'Cause I don't know what I've been told. The weather outside is not that cold, and if you take my hand, I'll walk with you to Georgia. And I don't know what those men see, but I see you right next to me. And if you take my hand, I'll walk with you to Georgia.
And for blush, I'm going to go back into the palette that I used the bronzer for, and I'm just going to do a mixture of these two shades. So just tap the brush in between the two, and I think together it just gives a really beautiful shade. They are beautiful on their own, but I really like mixing them. And even though the blushes, just like the bronzer, has a little bit of sheen in them, and they do give a really beautiful glow, I am going to add a bit of highlighter. And I'm going to go back to the serum that I originally used, and I'm just going to put a tiny amount on the back of my hand, and I'm just going to just apply it to the high points, and it will just give just a little bit of an extra highlight there. And when you tap it in, it's really, really beautiful. And again, it doesn't disturb the powder underneath. It's because of the formula. It's not oily in any way, and I don't feel like that I need to powder it. It's not sticky or tacky. It's just a really beautiful formula, and it just gives just a little bit more of a highlight. It's really subtle, and I think it's really, really beautiful. And for lipstick, I'm going to use one of the by Terry ones. This is their Hyaluronic, the lip balms, and this shade is Nudissimo, and it's a really soft, just pretty pink. These lip balms are just beautiful. They give really good coverage, but they are super moisturizing as well. these also have a fragrance. A lot of the By Terry products do, but again, I don't mind it, and it is that rose fragrance. So here is the final look with mostly By Terry products, and I think overall it looks really, really lovely. This palette I think is beautiful. I do enjoy the By Terry eyeshadows. I think they blend beautifully. They have very sort of soft color stories, but with this shade here that took me a bit by surprise. It's had quite a, it's got that eggplant sort of tone in it as well. Both of these actually pack a punch. So this is the one that I used on this eye look, and I could have gone even deeper if I wanted to. You could even go lighter if you wanted to as well, but again, this blended really beautifully. The metallics perform just beautifully, and I love this shade here. It looks pink in the pan, and it does have a shift to it, but when I put it on my eye, it tends to shift more to gold. So that's the one I put over the top of the other metallic, and it just gave it a little bit of a lift, and I think it is a really pretty shade. For those of you that love this color, this performs absolutely beautifully. Like I was saying, with a red, I don't put it under my lower lash line because I tend to look like I have sore eyes, but I think that this palette is a really beautiful holiday palette. You've got this beautiful, it's like a brick red, and then you've got these gold tones as well, and you can do some really gorgeous holiday looks. I think this performed beautifully, and I really like all three eye looks that I did. For an everyday look, probably the very first look that I did would be one that I would wear more for every day. But in saying that, I am going out shortly, and I think this is really appropriate as well. The Brightening CC Serum, I think this is gorgeous. So doing this video and having a couple of breaks, I've been wearing this for over an hour now, and just here I've added highlight with the blush, but you can see with the foundation it's no longer matte because I did add that little bit of powder, but just this beautiful glow has come back, and that's as far as it'll go. It won't turn oily or anything like that, and like I was saying, this serum doesn't feel oily in any way. It is such a beautiful formula, and I think it's a great way of making either soft matte or matte foundations give that glow, but without that greasiness that you can sometimes get with oily skin, especially in the warmer weather. And I think this acts really beautifully as a highlighter as well. And this palette that I use for the bronzer and also the blush, I think it's really lovely. As I was saying, all four of the shades do have a sheen to them, but they don't look over the top. They are very subtle, and they just blend really beautifully into the skin. And the By Terry lip balms, the hyaluronic ones, I have two of them. I have this shade, and I also have the shade Tea Time as well, which is more of a brown shade, and I do have that one in front of me, so I'll quickly swatch it on my hand so you can take a look. But it is really beautiful. It's not too brown. It's a shade, an everyday type of shade for me, and I think these are just gorgeous lip balms, easy to reapply during the day, and I think they make your lips look really hydrated. They do have a gloss to them, but it's not over the top. Again, just like everything with By Terry, just really subtle and really pretty. So I'm really pleased with that eyeshadow palette. I think it's really gorgeous, and I'll add it to the other By Terry that I have in my collection. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Bye.